Destiny has been one of the most controversial games to come out in recent years. It received an incredible amount of hype in the months leading up to its release, and it experienced somewhat of a rocky start. Many people criticized the game for its solo campaign and its repetitive nature during its initial stages, both of which are complaints that I agree with. The guys over at Bungie did a decent job of fixing some of its problems with DLCs like the Taken King, but some potential players were already turned off and had given up on the game by the middle of its life cycle, which is definitely a red flag. Thankfully, those fans of the game that stuck it out are some of the most dedicated on the interwebs though, which leaves a lot of room for the franchise to be successful in the coming years. Destiny 2 is slated for release later this year, and the developers still have plenty of time to make this the amazing game that we really want and know that it can be. Here are 5 things that Bungie needs to do for Destiny 2. Number 1. Have a complete single-player mode upon release. Don't rely on DLCs to make the story something that we can easily understand and invest in. Make sure that we aren't waiting for months at a time in order to pay more money so we can wrap our minds around the narrative. I don't need to feel like Eris in order to piece all of this shit together.
What the hell was that?
Fingertips on the surface of my mind.
Number 2. Make our ships more than just a loading screen. One of the things we were most excited for in the trailers was the presence of these super cool looking ships that were going to allow us to travel around in space, shooting things, controlling things, and living out our childhood dreams of cruising around space as a pilot fucking shit up throughout the galaxy. Instead, we got a loading screen. What makes this worse is that it takes a lot of time and effort to get the best looking ships in the game, so at least make them valuable in some way other than serving as eye candy. I want open world exploration, dogfights, or some way of controlling these things in Destiny 2, so make it happen, Bungie. Number 3. More matchmaking. The hub areas like the tower and the reef that we were given throughout Destiny 1 helped us find other people to play with, but there needs to be more built-in assistance for this sort of thing. You are absolutely required to have your own fire team to complete the game modes that offer you the premier loot in the game. You can't face the final boss in the Trial of Elders, run the raids, or participate in the Trials of Osiris unless you have a few buddies sitting around who happen to be really good at the game and also happen to have the same free time available as you do, so that you can join up and go get those sweet yellow drops. That's actually asking a lot out of players, to be completely honest. I understand that participating in the game's elite events should require more dedication from its players, but why is there no assistance at all for finding other players to play with in the actual game itself? Sites like Destiny LFG make this problem less noticeable, but some sort of similar way of finding players to run with should be incorporated into Destiny 2, or preferably just have built-in matchmaking for these things like you do with your other game modes. Number 4. More customization. I already love the feeling of getting legendary and exotic loot, so this one isn't a huge problem, but I think Bungie can add to what we already have without an overbearing amount of work. Other games incorporate skins, attachments, insignias, and other ways of making your weapon feel like it has its own identity, so why doesn't Destiny? I know that getting a god roll already makes a weapon unique, but I would like a little more than that. Weapon skins would be a really fun addition to the game, and I think it is something that could be done relatively quickly, so let's just go ahead and do it. And finally, number 5. A better variety of game modes in PvP. I have spent an unhealthy amount of hours in the Crucible and the Iron Banner, so I will never say that Destiny's PvP isn't fun, because that would just be a lie. However, it can be improved. There isn't a satisfactory level of variety in the game's online battles, and I would like to see them branch out a bit more in Destiny 2, especially in terms of objective modes. One thing I would love to see is a mode like Call of Duty Search and Destroy, or maybe something like CSGO's Bomb Defusal. As of right now, Destiny is not providing any sort of tactical feel to its PvP unless you are playing Trials, which, as I mentioned before, can be a bit of a problem unless you have other people you can summon to play with you whenever you want, and I'm not a f***ing wizard, so too much planning goes into being able to sit down and actually play the mode that I really want to. This can all be fixed if the dev team decides to introduce more tactical game modes into the traditional Crucible playlist, and I think doing so would rocket Destiny to new heights. These game modes could also incorporate restrictions that can help the game have more balance online, and who knows, Destiny might even become a legitimate esport. Now that would be awesome. Well, there you have it. 5 things that Destiny 2 needs to do to make this a potential Game of the Year candidate. What do you think? Am I completely wrong? What else does Bungie need to do or change or add to make you happy? Tell me in the comments below, and if you like it, leave a like. If you like me, subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Patreon, and I'll see you on the next one.